to say to us. And a lot of the things he says to us is about our evidencing our conversion in all aspects of our lives. Not just with our faith only, but with our actions and with our words as well. Now, unlike the modern notion that some folks have, that the words have no actual power, James insists that the tongue can do more real damage than sticks and stones. Now, you all probably remember the childhood nursery rhyme. I remember it. Someone says something to you, and you go, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, or break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I remember saying, when someone said something nasty to say that, truth be told, there's probably not a person in here this morning who hasn't been injured by words. There's probably not a person in here this morning who doesn't bear some kind of scars from harsh words or ill-considered words that have been spoken to them or about them at some time. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It doesn't work that way. Oh, it was just a slip of my tongue. Sure it was. Slip of the tongue. May seem like a small thing, but a rudder is a small thing which steers an enormous ship. A bridle, a bit in a horse's mouth is a small thing, but it allows a rider to steer a horse. A slip of either of these two things, the bit or the rudder, can injure or even kill those who are responsible for using it. You know, we tend to use words one way for certain people and situations, and then haul out an entirely different vocabulary and attitude for others. I say to someone, or someone says to me, oh, isn't so-and-so such a sweet and lovely person? I'm going, what? Well, they say the nicest things and they act so sincerely and so lovely. They're beautiful people. And I'm thinking, are they talking about the same person that I know? Because many times we use words in one way for a certain set of folk, and then we use words in another way for others. So your perception of someone and my perception of someone may not be the same perception. You know, we can see our friends and our loved ones as worthy of our attention, and people we don't, like the checkout clerk, as less than human and deserving our contempt. You know, I've been in lines before at Walmart and other places. I don't know how some of these checkout clerks put up with some of the abuse that they take. I'm telling you right now, if I was a checkout clerk down at Walmart and some of these people started running their lips like they do to some of those checkout clerks, I'd beat them in the head with a can of their green beans. I just put it in one of them plastic Walmart bags and I just swing that thing around like that and I put them right up the side of the head. Tongue's an evil thing. Hard to contain, John. Listen to me. Listen to me. Many of us, especially our young folks around today, many of us pay more attention to the words that we type on our phones than the words we say to people right in front of us. Even some of those words that we type on our phones. I see Facebook. They're not the sweetest little things you want to read and have said about you either. When words are well thought out and carefully applied, they can bring great reward. When words are carelessly applied and generated by reaction, they become weapons that leave both the speaker and the recipient feeling like losers. When someone says something to you that hurts your feelings or makes you angry, what's your first inclination? Come on. What's your first inclination? Hurt them back. They're going to say something bad about me. I'm going to say something bad back to you. Many times, we generate words by reaction, and they become weapons that leave us and the recipient of those words feeling like losers. James in this passage identified the problem with words. We might think of James as the original rule maker of using words with friends and everyone else. I thought that was Eva Mae Brown, who was the original rule maker for words. You have to know that Eva Mae Brown was my senior English teacher in high school. She was my senior English teacher at Fairmont Senior High School in Fairmont, West Virginia. Her name was Eva Mae Brown. Eva Mae was never married. Eva Mae, when I was a senior in high school, was probably 70 plus years old and still teaching senior English. I thought she was the rule maker on words. Every other senior that attended her class thought that she was the rule maker on words and their use as well. We had a nickname for her. She knew it. She didn't care. Most of us, it was a loving thing. We called her Evil Mae. Evil Mae Brown. But evidently James is the rule maker on using words, you know. With the words that we use with friends and anyone else. For James, if we're going to use words, we better use them wisely. He first warns those who aspire to become teachers, because we who teach will be judged with greater strictness, James says. Any teacher in church or school must realize that his or her words carry great weight and can very easily harm or encourage a student. Those of you who teach in the public school system, in the private school system, you wield great power with your words. With your words. And while all of us makes mistakes, it's important for teachers and for all of us to strive for perfect word choice that becomes like a bridle or a bit for controlling all kinds of loose and destructive talk that can inevitably leak out and cause destruction. Indeed, like a bit in a horse's mouth, a controlled tongue can guide a person's whole body in what they say and do. We've all been in situations where a simple yes or no, or mere compliance with a request, would have prevented a whole string of other disasters. Think after, well, if I'd have just said yes, or if I'd have just said no, or if I'd have just done what they wanted me to do, look at all the trouble it would have saved. But now, what did I have to do? I had to shoot my mouth off and assert my rights and try to impress everyone around me. Then I got into trouble. And my words weren't so friendly. And my speech wasn't tightly controlled. But I just said yes. Or I just said no. Not that that's easy to do either. You know, James makes it clear that the tongue isn't like an animal that can be tamed by the human species. You just can't tame the tongue. Instead, it's untamable, he says. A restless evil, he calls it, filled with deadly poison. Now, such a statement would seem to provide us for an excuse, with an excuse for the dumb things that we say. Whether we're at work, at home, or in the checkout line at Walmart, we need to know that there are times when things just come out in the form of words that don't seem so friendly. But James won't let us get away with that kind of thinking. Indeed, the only way to control the tongue is to monitor what happens inside of us at a deeper level. Jesus says, for example, or James says, for example, that with our tongues we both bless the Lord and Father and curse those who are made in the image and likeness of God. What the tongue reveals at that point seems as a kind of double-mindedness that separates people from God. When we're double-minded, or perhaps we're singularly minded in our own selfish ways, we have a tendency to dehumanize people and see ourselves as always being in a game in which we have to be the winner. If you believe that you deserve more than others, and that if you believe that you are superior to them, then you'll treat them with contempt. You'll treat them with contempt. We don't need those lazy Mexicans coming into this country and taking jobs that American people could use. We dehumanize. And we treat with contempt those that are made in God's image. Everyone needs a job. Most folks have children to feed and clothe and a roof to put over their head. It doesn't matter whether you speak Spanish or whether you speak English. It doesn't matter whether you're olive skin, fair skin, your skin is black or white. We all want the best for our children. We all want the best for our families. And yet we dehumanize. We curse those who are made in God's image. There's an old adage that says if you want to know about a person's character, watch how that person treats a waiter or waitress at the restaurant. Do they treat them as a person or merely as a servant? Kind words aren't only meant for friends. We offer them to everyone because they, like us, are made in God's image. You can't bless God and curse His image at the same time. You cannot do it. The truth is that if we want to have any control over our tongues, we need to pay attention to our inner lives, from which either blessing or cursing can come forth. Does the inner spring in our lives gush forth with fresh or brackish water? Can a fig tree yield olives? Does salt water spontaneously turn fresh? No, what's inside a person determines the kind of fruit that comes out in the form of words and deeds. If we're going to be the kind of people who use words wisely, then folks, we've got to first cultivate an inner life that sees everyone as a friend created in God's image. We need a vision of life that does not put us at the center of the universe, but rather centers on God and God's purpose. The God who spoke the word of creation and sent the word to become flesh in His own Son urges us to choose the kind of words that reflect His character, life, and love. I read just recently, and no, it wasn't down at the Chinese restaurant in one of the fortune cookies, but I read a Chinese proverb just recently that says this: a bad word whispered will echo 100 miles. A bad word whispered will may we recapture the art of using words in a way that reflect the character of the God who dwells in us. Maybe then we'll speak words of life and not of death. Here comes my solo. I learned this song in Vacation Bible School when I was these kids' age, okay? Bear with me. Please don't bolt for the doors. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. For the Father up above, He is looking down with love. So be careful, little tongue, what you say. Terrible song. I've sung 3 songs in a time like this, in the time I've been in pastoral ministry. That one, the second one was, All I Want for Christmas is My New Front Teeth. And the third one is the great ballad, Does Your Chewing Gum Lose Its Flavor on the Day Goes Go? Does your mother tell you not